Look, I probably shouldn't be saying this, but MV3 is loading. Day 13 of Ravens training camp had a very different feel to it. Ahead of Saturday's preseason opener, the Ravens decided to not play their starters that much today. But Ravens quarterback one Lamar Jackson made the absolute most of his opportunities. After a rough practice yesterday, Lamar came back today and was almost perfect throwing the ball. Ravens wide receiver Rashad Bateman made his return today and immediately started making plays. That's right, he's back. We finally got encouraging news on both Nate Wiggins and Marlon Humphrey. Quietly, the Ravens may have another defensive back who's making some noise right now. But the biggest thing I took away was what Lamar Jackson did with his full group of wide receivers at his availability today. We've got a lot to get into on this episode of the Reigning Ravens Report. My name is Sudden Death. Before we do, though, like the video. What's going on, Rain Gang? Welcome back to another Reigning Ravens Report. And we have officially gotten through day 13 of Ravens training camp. And this was the Ravens' final practice before their preseason opener against the Eagles on Saturday. And because of that, today was much lighter. The Ravens practiced in shells today, which basically means no pads. First team offense got a couple of series on 11 on 11, but the bulk of the work went to the second and third teams today. But sometimes a smaller sample size can tell you something. And Lamar Jackson's sample today was as clean as it gets. Lamar Jackson started the day completing 8 of his first 9 passes, and he only got better from there. Lamar Jackson finished the day completing 12 of 13 passes, and that one incompletion came in the 7-on-7 period, which means in the 11-on-11 period of practice, like the actual simulation of a game, he did not have one incomplete pass today. In total, that's a 92.3 completion percentage today. And this comes one day after the defense really dominated the offense for the most part, and Lamar Jackson went 8 for 15. Today, Lamar responded, and all things are balanced equally as they should be. And one of the biggest reasons that the offense looked different today was because of the return of Rashad Bateman. Bateman had missed the previous 2 practices, and yesterday we saw him exercising on a bike. Today, he was back in team drills, and he wasted no time reminding everybody what he brings to this receiving corps. It was reported that Bateman caught a deep crosser 35 yards down the field when he got behind Keon Martin. Rashad Bateman also had a beautiful catch on a deep corner route where he beat Keon Martin. Keon Martin falls to the ground as Bateman's catching it. He gets up, Bateman shakes him out of his shoes and strolls into the end zone easily. It's a bad day to be a bait hater. Lamar Jackson also hit Bateman on a beautiful throw up the sideline in 7-on-7 work. And I think Rashad Bateman's return matters a little bit more than just getting a receiver back. Think about the progression of this receiver room over the last week alone. Zay Flowers goes down and scares everybody. Bateman misses time. Suddenly, we're just all crossing our fingers, hoping that Jacoby Lane can save us. Now Zay is back, and Bateman is back. And it's not like those younger guys disappeared while the veterans were out. They got better. And that's how a position group gets deeper. It's like somebody took 2 starters out of the band, and instead of the music stopping, the backups learned the entire set on their own. Now the starters are coming back, but the coaches know for sure now they have more guys who can play if need be. And play well. And we saw another example of that today. Devontae Walker had arguably the best play of 11-on-11 work today. Tez Walker slipped behind zone coverage, and Lamar Jackson threw a beautiful ball down the field that Tez Walker hauled in for a big chunk gain. Jacoby Lane also continues to get involved, as he also had a big chunk gain down the field coming from Lamar Jackson. Lamar was just dealing today. So I think it's safe to say that this is a much more intriguing wide receiver room than it was even a couple of weeks ago. And I want you guys to keep an eye on Tez Walker specifically, because Jacoby Lane has understandably dominated the headlines of training camp, and Tez Walker can kind of get lost in that sometimes. But with Jacoby Lane's emergence and Tez Walker's solid production and seniority in that room, I think they are neck and neck in the race for the wide receiver 3 spot on this team. Comment down below who you think it's going to be. Now, I do believe that this Ravens coaching staff will try to be a little bit more cautious about Jacoby Lane in preseason than they do with Tez Walker. So Tez will have his opportunities in preseason to earn his keep in this wide receiver rotation. While I think Jacoby Lane is going to have less opportunities early on in the preseason, so he's going to have to make the most of them. I would also be remiss if I did not mention that Jacoby Lane once again was out there being a willing blocker today in the run game. Now, today was not completely one-sided for the offense. Keon Martin, despite giving up that big play to Bateman, reportedly came away with an interception today. Undrafted rookie Silas Walters also recorded a pick. And with Baltimore still missing Nate Wiggins and Marlon Humphrey, these reps for some of these depth guys are extremely important. Which does bring us to probably the most encouraging news of the day. Nate Wiggins and Marlon Humphrey. Neither practiced today, but Ravens head coach Jesse Minter gave us a very meaningful update.
I would say both are trending very well to potentially be back next week. So both just dealing with a couple small things. I think got good reports on both of them, and expect both of those guys back.
That is massive, especially with Wiggins. When you see your number one outside corner leave the field on a cart like Wiggins did earlier this week, your mind immediately starts going to worst case scenarios. Instead, the Ravens have now gone from uncertainty to optimism, and now to saying that Nate Wiggins and Marlon Humphrey should be making a return next week. Now, we do obviously need to see him back on the field before we officially close the book on this whole injury thing, but considering what the situation looked like initially, this news is nothing but a win. And luckily, the Ravens do not need to rush Nate Wiggins or Marlon Humphrey back for any preseason games, as there are a ton of backup band players, like I was mentioning earlier, who need some practice with the first unit. Speaking of players working their way back, we got another positive update on Nnamdi Madubuike today. Madubuike continued his individual ramp up, and he continues to work individually with defensive coordinator Anthony Weaver. I love the fact that we now have a head coach that can man one side of the ball completely and allow his coordinators to kind of roam free. Anthony Weaver would never be able to do that if he was defensive coordinator under John Harbaugh as head coach. So far, I'm loving the flexibility of this coaching staff, and of course, the coveted attention to detail that we keep hearing about. Jesse Minter said that Nnamdi Madubuike is progressing really well, and he should reach the next stage of his ramp up very soon. Again, no rush. We're not trying to win August. Now, there were a couple of other injury updates. Ravens left guard John Simpson was seen wearing a leg sleeve today. Jesse Minter said that he was dealing with something minor in his left leg, but it should not keep him sidelined for long, which is a sigh of relief. But I would not mind seeing Emory Jones get some first-team reps. Like the video if you agree. Ravens quarterback Skylar Thompson is a completely different story, though. Skylar Thompson has suffered an unknown but season-ending injury, which explains why the Ravens put him on IR yesterday and they signed quarterback Austin Reed. I guess UFL legend? It'll be interesting to see what he does in the preseason. Now let's talk offensive line, because Saturday night is going to give us our first real look at that position group. Jesse Minter confirmed that first-round pick Venga Ioane will play against the Eagles this Saturday. I mean, like the video for that if you're fired up, because I am. Jesse Minter also said that Corey Bullock could receive snaps at center and guard, which is interesting because Baltimore is still sorting out the interior of their offensive line, and preseason is where flexibility becomes extremely valuable. If Corey Bullock can give you legitimate snaps at two different positions on that offensive line, it dramatically increases his chances of making the roster. Right tackle Roger Rosengarten gave everybody a scare today too. On one play, apparently he got poked in the eye by Gerald Lichtenhen. Then on the next series, he comes back and takes a very hard fall and has to get replaced by Carson Vincent. But he only missed one play, so I think he'll be okay. The Ravens tight ends actually had one of their better days of camp today. Both rookie tight ends Matthew Hibner and Josh Cuevas flashed athleticism on some catch and runs. Josh Cuevas had a nice catch in traffic, and Mark Andrews and Tyler Petza also had a few nice grabs today too. And I gotta give a shout out to the special teams. And today's shout out goes to rookie punter Ryan Eckley. He's been hitting some bombs in practice. Today he punted a ball from his own 20 to the opposing 20. And then he kicked one from his own 25 to the opposite end zone. That's 60 and then 75 yards in air yardage respectfully on those kicks. This first team all Big Ten punter is the real deal. To wrap it all up, Lamar Jackson had probably one of the most dominant days of training camp so far. And I think he's back in that MV3 mode. But let me know down below in the comments what were your biggest takeaways from day 13 of Ravens training camp. My name is Sutton Def, and as always, if you enjoyed the content, please be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on those post notifications. This has been another Reigning Ravens report right here on the Purple Rain Podcast YouTube channel. We'll see you guys in the next one, and may purple reign. Peace.